What's going on, bruv? Dr. Brute 7 signing in back with another Anbernic RG35XX H tutorial. This also applies to the RG35XX Plus. I've started off with an unboxing and impressions video followed by stock firmware upgrade and installation tutorial along with the installation and impressions of the latest BATOCERA custom firmware. So I want to show you guys the PSP emulation performance on the stock firmware along with some of the settings. Like I've stated in details about the BATOCERA custom firmware, that I am not at all impressed with the PSP emulation performance, despite of so many videos out there on YouTube that praises this custom firmware. Just not the same experience with mine, and yeah, that's all I had to say. It does have its charms, but you know what, better that you guys check it out on that video that I've made along with the rest of the above mentioned videos through the description. Okay, now let's get into PSP emulation. I'll be demonstrating all the games that came with the console along with an extra game, PPSSPP. God damn it, this name is used for emulation, and despite of the hardware, all these lags and losses are suffered majorly due to the software performance, especially since we have to strictly rely on OpenGL instead of Vulkan. So we can't do much in regards to that when it comes to those lags. So there's that. Top right corner of the screen that you guys can see shows the FPS and the speed, which is in brackets. The speed is more important than the FPS, because if the speed is low, then even with higher FPS you will experience stuttering and lags, which involves sound stuttering as well. If you get 80% or above, despite of getting lower FPS, you'll get a decent enough experience. Not the best, not the perfect, but still it's playable on certain games. And if you get both, then it will be a perfect experience. I'll demonstrate it shortly. Let's not get too much into details because I'll show them in details. With that being said, PSP emulation on this device through the stock is way better in comparison to BATOCERA. I did extensive testing and tweakings, and that's my conclusion. Alright, let's get to some of the most important things. These following settings that I'm about to mention will apply to all the games. Despite of which game you play, you're gonna apply these settings that I'm about to mention. These settings are universal and will stabilize the performance by a lot. Okay, so the first one is skip GPU readbacks. You have to check mark this box, enable this, followed by lazy texture caching, which will speed up as well, and spline Bezier curves quality, set it to low. So these settings are going to greatly improve the performance. So these are the universal settings. So whenever I'm going to mention universal settings, you're going to make sure that these three options are taken care of. So I'm going to start off with God of War. Keep an eye out at the top right corner of the screen along with the gameplay. I'm dead. Great. So let's get more into details about the settings. Along with the universal settings, make sure that your rendering resolution has been set to 1x PSP, full screen obviously. Frame skipping, set it to 1. And frame skipping type, number of frames, followed by auto frame skip option enabled. Okay, and I know on one of my previous videos I've said like not to enable auto frame skip, but after extensive testings I've come to the conclusion that auto frame skip enhances your gameplay, smoothens up your gameplay experience. If you are going to set it to 1, 2 or even 3 sometimes, with this option enabled, you won't feel that stuttering feeling as much. Enable hardware transformation, enable software skinning, upscale type XBRZ, and upscale level set it to off, deposterize enabled, anisotropic filtering off, texture filtering set to auto if you want to set up the FPS counter followed by speed, and you're going to get the similar experience that I'm getting. Next we have Tekken Dark Resurrection. This game also runs pretty smooth and awesome. As you can see, it's running at full speed. Like I've said, if the speed's percentage is above 80, you're going to get very smooth and favorable performance. Even though it's not going to be the most perfect, but still, I call this damn playable. There will be slight slowdowns here and there. However, this is actually pretty darn perfect. Okay, so let's talk about the game settings for Tekken Dark Resurrection. For this game, I've upscaled the resolution and some of the settings. Like I've said on some of my other emulation tutorial videos, that emulation is game specific. God of War settings was different except for the universal settings. However, some of the settings will be game specific. So you can actually up the rendering resolution for Tekken Dark Resurrection. Frame skipping has been set to off, and auto frame skip has been disabled as well. If you experience any kind of stuttering, you can set the frame skip to 1. So for the universal settings, you follow what I've said, what I've mentioned for the universal settings at the beginning of the video. And here for performance, render duplicate frames to 60 Hz and followed by hardware transform, software skinning, upscale type set to XBRZ, upscale level followed by upscale level, you can set it to 3x. You do not need deposterize. For anisotropic filtering, it's actually set to 16x. You can run this game almost at higher setting. So the next game should be Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories. Okay, let's turn off the radio first. I don't want to get any kind of copyright. So yeah, there's that. Okay, let's talk about the Grand Theft Auto settings. Rendering resolution for this one set to 1x PSP, followed by frame skipping 1 and enable auto frame skipping type number of frames, and obviously the universal settings needs to be the same as how I have mentioned, and hardware transform, software skinning, both those checkboxes checked. Upscale level off. You do not need to enable deposterize, followed by anisotropic filtering totally off. Texture filtering set to auto, and that's it. No sound stuttering or anything.
Corporal, what can I do for you? Listen, Jerry, you gotta get rid of that stuff. It's making me nervous. I'm not into drugs, and I know the fuck out, my friend.
Okay, now we have stepped outside. As you can see, it's running at perfect smooth speed. There's literally no stuttering. Okay, let's get on foot.
I know how to use this. Now stay out of my way.
Okay, so that's it with Grand Theft Auto. Now let's talk about the extra game, which is Ghost of Sparta, God of War Ghost of Sparta. Now this game is not going to be perfect. This game is going to be stuttery, laggy experience. This is the best I could come up with. If anyone has any different idea about this or any different approach on this, then please make sure you share it in the comments. However, I couldn't find any better resolution for this. There's sound stuttering issues on this one, and obviously you can see that it's not running at a very good speed. There will be occasional speed up, there will be a lot of slowdowns. But if this is something that you are okay with, I will definitely share the settings with you, but this is not like Chains of Olympus. Alright, for the game settings, rendering resolution set to 1x PSP, frame skipping set to 3 with auto frame skip, frame skipping type % of FPS, followed by the universal settings, hardware transform enabled, software skinning enabled, upscale level obviously off, deposterize has not been checked, anisotropic filtering off. It didn't do much, but it was even more laggy when I first played it. But yeah, this is basically it. For God of War Ghost of Sparta, do not expect anything better. Tekken 6 is going to be a mixed experience. Sometimes you will experience occasional slowdowns. Okay, let me demonstrate some gameplay. It will actually depend on the levels, like the stages where you'll be, the arenas where you'll be fighting. So it will depend. It will be kind of like a mixed bag. Oh my god. Ah, damn. I thought I lost. Let's talk about the game settings. Rendering resolution set to 1x PSP, full screen VSync not enabled. Frame skipping has been set to 2. Frame skipping type number of frames followed by auto frame skip enabled. And obviously the universal settings that I've mentioned, you also need to take care of that. Hardware transform enabled, software skinning enabled, upscale level off, and anisotropic filtering off. Deposterize unchecked, texture filtering set to auto, and you're going to get this experience. Bro, I just cracked his fucking neck. Still he's standing strong. I'm literally breaking each part of his body, but still he is standing strong and hitting me strong. Damn. Alright, the next set of games that I'm going to mention is going to share the same setting. It's just gonna make it real fast. I don't want to drag this video any longer. Alright, so Metal Slug XX, which is 20 or however you wanna call it, along with Castlevania, Mega Man, and Bomberman, they're going to share the same kind of settings. They literally run at full speed. Okay, so let's talk about the game settings. I've set the rendering resolution to 1x PSP. You can upscale it. You can set it to 2x PSP as well. And full screen VSync hasn't been enabled. Frame skipping set to 2 with frame skipping type number of frames. Auto frame skip has been enabled, followed by the universal settings, obviously. Software skinning, hardware transform checkboxes are marked. Upscale level set to 4x, deposterize enabled, anisotropic filtering set to 4x, and that's it. This is going to give you a very good performance. So I'm just gonna save the game here. I can continue it from here. Same goes for Castlevania, Metal Slug, and Bomberman. All of these are going to share the same settings as I have shown with Mega Man. As you can see, the game is running at full speed. Check out Bomberman, and then we're gonna move on to the last game. Let's take a look at the settings real quick. Now I've set the rendering resolution to 1x PSP. You can set it to 2x as well. Frame skipping has been set to 1, followed by auto frame skip enabled. Frame skipping type, number of frames. Skip GPU readbacks. Like these universal settings, please make sure that you have them sorted out like I have mentioned at the beginning of the video. Followed by hardware transform and software skinning enabled. And upscale level, obviously I have set it to off. If you want, you can set it to 2x, and deposterize has been enabled. Anisotropic filtering, I've set it to off. You can set it to 4x as well. Oops, I just killed myself. Let's move on to the last game. It's Ridge Racer. This also runs at full speed with most of the settings set to high.
Looks like you got a good start. Keep your lead. 3 laps to go. You got it. You can pass them. Okay, let's go. All right.
Okay, let's talk about the settings real quick. Rendering resolution 1x PSP, followed by frame skipping, which has been set to 2. Frame skipping type, number of frames, auto frame skip enabled. Sort out the universal settings as I've mentioned, followed by hardware transform and software skinning enabled. Upscale type XBRZ, upscale level set to 3x, deposterize enabled, anisotropic filtering set to 4x. And you're going to get crisp visual along with almost full speed. Minor stuttering here and there, but that's really nothing to worry about. Alright, so I've shared everything that I was able to figure out and saw fit in order to get the best performance in terms of PSP emulation, which is one of the most complex emulation on this device. If you have something else to share in terms of the settings, please do let me know in the comments. I would definitely love to hear back. And also, please do let me know how these settings worked for you. And yeah, if you like this video and like my contents in general, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm gonna see you guys on the next one. Dr. Brute 7 signing off. Peace.